Today, we are going to be going over the importance of video games in education. After this video, you will be able to identify some ways in which video games attribute to education, learn which parts of video games can help a learner learn in the design phase, and see examples in which video games, even in an entertainment setting, have played a key part in education. In the past few years, particularly 2017, a big idea hit the e-learning community: gamification. The term gamification was all over sites, conferences, and workshops. Gamification means that game elements, such as rules of play, point scoring, and competition with others, are being used in an educational or economic way. Basically, gamification means that the interactivity of gaming is being used for something other than entertainment. In e-learning and instructional design, a major tenet, especially in adult learning, is the interactivity of the content. One way to make content interactive is to turn it into a game. Not only are games interactive, but games can be very fun for a learner. Willis, in her book Research-Based Strategies to Ignite Student Learning, Insights from a Neurologist and Classroom Teacher, showed that whilst having fun, the amount of dopamine, endorphins, and oxygen increase. Additionally, she points out that all of these are present whilst having a learning experience. While this book was published in 2009, its implications have been used in e-learning and classroom training everywhere. Many authoring tools now offer a gamification portion which focuses on a point system to help get learners engaged in the content. Additional gamification features may vary, but they all use strategies which games use in order to make the content more fun. Features such as simulations, point tracking, competition with other users, and rules of play can all be used as gamification strategies. One example of a simulation game in education would be a flight training program online for a pilot. Instead of having to get into the cockpit to fly, a pilot could play a flying simulation game. Not only would this be fun, but the pilot would not run the risk of crashing. With point tracking or rules of play, a designer could apply simple points for correct answers or applying rules to an applicable game in order to make the content more interactive. I have personally had many experiences in which gaming has attributed to my education, even when played recreationally. Some games, such as Assassin's Creed, have helped me identify key historical timelines which have helped me in history classes and college credit tests. Assassin's Creed, as a game, focuses on a time period and key persons and develops different missions around them. In English, I have used vocabulary that I have learned in other role-playing games, which have helped me in writing essays and taking tests in middle school.
This is Assassin's Creed Origins. It takes place in ancient Egypt. You will notice the architecture, different cultural aspects of this game really do relate to actual ancient Egypt. If you were taking a history class or a literature class and you had to relate to this time, this game would really help you associate these things because you have hands-on interaction with it. Additionally, in a geography class, you'd be very good at ancient Egypt because if you notice, all of these lands are divided into what ancient Egypt's geographical areas were at the time. You have Alexandria, you have Memphis way down here, and I wouldn't know these things unless I was actively playing this game. So instead of having to study it, I actually enjoyed learning about it.
These experiences show that even when using games in an entertainment setting, they have translated to my educational experience. We have now gone over some key features in games which have been used in instructional settings, as well as some ways in which games can translate surprisingly into an educational sphere. With this knowledge, you will now be able to identify some ways in which games can play important factors in learning.